Well, Dad had a bit of a breakdown. He was just motoring along, and all of a sudden the machine plugged up. Shouldn't have. Crop isn't that heavy or that green. I got called late to the party. I'd just gotten back with a load from unloading, and I radioed him. He didn't even know what was going on. Brody had just pulled in, and so then I booted her across the field, and we looked at a couple things, and then this is when I showed up, or I started recording. There it is. Why did that kick everything out?
What's that?
Did he shut it off, or did it kick everything out?
It kicked everything out, yeah.
Did it shut everything off, or did you shut that off?
I shut off. I tried working it through, and it says disengage counter, and I
All the way up? Good. Are you trying to clear the concaves or no? Because it only turned like once each way.
it said it was turning 100 RPM on
It turned briefly.
Sure it did.
He didn't spit anything out the back. Did it. That was it.
Yeah.
That did it. We don't think it's too major. It's probably not going to be cheap, but nothing we can't do ourselves. The chopper, I'll try and remember to film this in the morning. Again, we always just jump right in and don't even think. But on the back of that, on the inner ace of that bearing I was pointing at, it's got a bunch of splines, and there's a collar in the middle, like a spline collar in the middle, and then one on each side. And those splines line up in a certain way to go in for, I think in is the high speed chopper, I think, and out is the lower speed, I think. I have to double check on that, but we can definitely see the bearings gone, and we're thinking that the the splines in it are toast, because it's grabbing just enough to get started, but then yeah, like it'll see like 80 RPM, and then it doesn't see any. So Dad ran to Windthorst. Like I think he left at like 6:15 or something like that, trying to be there for 7. Not even sure if anybody's going to be there at 7. So we were here until close to 10 last night. Just getting this apart, which it wasn't that bad. It was just, everything's dirty and doesn't slide nice. But so, the good news is, so far, all of the chopper bearings are in. They're just smooth as silk. There's no dragging. There's no resistance. There's no noise. So we're not entirely sure. So just so you know, this shaft is actually hollow. And this guy gets driven from this side to drive the, what do you call it on the other side? This is the refresher? Yes, or refeeder. So anything that falls out the bottom of the sieves, I'm pretty sure this is what this one is. It gets sent back up. Not anything, but it recycles. So I'm doing a horrible job of explaining it. But like I said, that shaft comes through up to there and drives a lot of stuff on this side, which maybe is part of our problem, to be determined. Well, we got things apart last night, and to our surprise, these are in perfect shape. So the bearing itself is no good, but you can see all the machined edges are just downright in perfect shape. So there's a bearing that sits in this groove here, and that's the one I was pointing at in the other video, and it slides to either grab these two, and that is high speed. Yes, it's high speed. And then it slides all the way forward, and this is low speed here, because that bigger one is on there, and the seals were gone on that bearing, so we couldn't run it like that much longer. That was the first time we noticed the seals gone, but I don't think that's the problem. Kind of stumped at the moment, to be honest. Like, that bothers me, that's just a wide open plug, but it doesn't look recent, that's for sure. Same as that guy back there. And the sensor, let's see if we can see it here, is somewhere. Hopefully you guys can see, because I sure can't. Yeah, so it's not much to shed a tear over yet. Just all the wind's blowing chaff around. But we've kind of got it narrowed down. Obviously, the bearing, yeah, the bearing's not long for this world. This is all good. But the bearing on the outside, the seals were gone. Can't run it like that. You're either asking for a fire or more damage, and honestly, it was not that bad of a repair. So everything else inside is real good. It turns like silk. It's really good. So we've kind of narrowed it down to 2 potential problems. One is there's a sensor in for this guy. This controls your stationary knives. They call it your counter knives. I think I've mentioned that. we always call them stationary. So if that handle's up, your knives are down, and you need your knives down in deslug mode, and you need to be in low gear, and then you deslug it, which I love the deslug mode, and you can actually jog you can drop your concaves right down and reverse your rotor. It's awesome. So that guy, the counter knife, has a sensor when it's all the way up, which is where it's supposed to be in deslug. And so what we were doing is we would do our deslug, and then we would put the knives back into place. And we were trying it, and we were leaving it in low. And I think earlier I was saying this backwards. But, yeah, we were leaving it in low. And so the tech at Young's was saying, well, if you have it in low, you need to have your knives dropped. So that might have been our mistake. Both of us are pretty sure, well, Dad was not very sure. I was pretty sure, and I didn't record enough to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure we had it in low. And it was saying, well, your RPMs are low, you need to be in high, or your knives out. So I think low is more of like a corn chopping mode. Anyhow, really not much I can do right now. I've gone over everything about 5 times and I cannot find anything else. So hopefully that's the problem. Well, we got him figured out. Now, we were right in assuming that the bearing wasn't the problem, but it kind of was. We thought it was stripped. It was acting like it was stripped. Problem was there's these forks that the bearing rides on, back and forth, in for high gear, out for low gear, and it was just barely engaged, like less than 1/8 of an inch. And I think there's just a combination of wear in about 4 different points that gave it that little extra slop when it was in high gear. And so we tweaked it as best we could for now. It should be fine. It's pretty much 1/2 inch engaged out of probably 3/4 would be the absolute max you could get. So what happened was we put it back together and we ran it, and immediately it was zzz, like a real nasty sound. So we shut it off, we took a look, and that's when we noticed it was barely touching. So we adjusted the position as best we could. Like I said, there's still a bit of slop, but even with the slop, it can't come off. So we're gonna do some canola for the morning. I got one more load, it'll fill this bin, then I can switch to a different bin.